Life gives us moments when we have the opportunity to make a choice. And what we choose has the potential to change our lives forever. Join us now for another inspired episode of The Breakthrough. And now, please welcome the creator and host of the show, Jessica Dugas.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breakthrough Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I am super excited to be with you for another episode today. As you can tell, I'm not in my office right now. Today, we are starting out in the kitchen for an amazing demo with a special guest. If you'd like to cook along with us, pause, go grab the ingredients, and come back and join us. If not, watch along and cook later, all right? Coming up later in the show, we're talking to a special guest, Trista Polo from iwokeupawesome.com and Trista's Plate Stories podcast for an inspiring interview. After that, we're going to be back and have lunch and chatter, but I have to introduce you to our other special guest first. Our first guest today is a mind, body, food, wellness coach and founder of Foodtastic Health. With more than 20 years in the holistic health realm, our guest brings a non-judgmental openness to her teaching of individualized eating, efficient cooking, and how to release the most deeply rooted roadblocks women have to full body health. Please welcome our special guest today, Paula Yolles. Paula, welcome to our kitchen that we're sort of sharing here.
Well, thank you, Jessica, for having me and for that wonderful introduction. I'm really excited to be in my kitchen and your kitchen all at the same time, so it's fun.
Yes, I'm very excited, and we're going to get to know you a little more and talk more about your work and everything at the end of the show, but we want to get people going so they have something to munch on for the rest of the show. What are we making today?
So we're going to be making miso soup. People have probably heard of miso soup at Asian restaurants, Japanese, Chinese restaurants. And we're going to be making miso soup because it is a great, flavorful soup. And also it's great for immune health and gut health. And right now, with everything that's going on in the world, people need extra boosting of their health all around. And the gut health affects your full health. So we're going to be making miso soup, and it might sound scarier than it is, but it's actually pretty simple and flexible, and that's what I love about it in addition to the health benefits. It's flexible, and it's child-approved. My son enjoyed it when he was little, when he was 5, and now as a teenager, he still enjoys it.
Yes, and we love that because we have the wide range of ages in our house. So anything that works for the whole group is going to be fantastic. All right, so we're going to, you're going to tell us what we need as we're going along here. And then also, Paula's going to be explaining a little bit why these different ingredients are important, because that was really when we sat down to do, to talk about what we're going to do today. It was really important for me too to have something nourishing, something that, you know, we're not just throwing anything in there. These ingredients have a purpose and a reason, and so I love that. So get us started. What are we doing first?
So you're going to need an onion, and Jessica will have the link to the recipe, so people can always look at that also. So don't get worried if you don't get all the ingredients down. You can look at the recipe. You're going to need an onion to start, and we're just going to, chop off the ends and then dice it. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing, because all of us are really busy, and even if you're working from home, you're busy, and you're going to be extra busy if you have children at home with homeschooling or hybrid or whatever. So we're going to be making 2 servings in the pan, and then we're going to at the same time make 2 servings, 1 serving in this jar and 1 serving in this jar. That way you can have them tomorrow or later in the week ready to go. Dump, cook, eat. So just, take an onion about medium size. But the other thing that's great about mostly all the recipes I do is they're flexible, like they don't have to be exact amounts. So we're gonna dice half the onion and put that in the pot, and then a quarter of an onion in one jar and a quarter of the onion in the other jar, all diced up. And
okay, so I'm cutting up the onion for the pot, and then I have my sous chef joining us today. My daughter Nina's cooking with us in the kitchen. She's going to come say hello.
Hi, Nina.
She's joining us today, and she's going to do the ones in the jar. So this is what we do here. We delegate.
Excellent. Yes. And it's good that you're teaching the younger generation how to cook. So
yes.
A lot of people do that. And onions and sweetness are helpful for lung health. So I'm just going to put a quarter in each jar so they're ready to go. For the next time I want to have miso soup, or my son wants to dump it out and eat it for a meal, he can. And so lung health is great all year round, and especially in fall to winter, people tend to start getting colds and the flu and hopefully nothing else.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to put the other half on here in my pot. So the other thing that often goes in miso soup is some kind of root vegetable. So I have parsnips and carrots, and so we'll cut them up. And again, it's flexible. Like if you're a person who loves more vegetables, you can put more vegetables in. If you're a person who goes a little lighter on vegetables, you can put a little less in. So they'll look something like this, sort of bite size. But again, there's nothing exact about this or magic. If you want to cut it into smaller pieces or a different shape, that's fine too. So, which is really essential. So again, the carrots I'm cutting into the same sort of shape. I cut it, and I'm going too fast. Tell me to slow down. So cut the carrot in half, and then cut the halves in half again the long way, so they're long sticks.
Okay, now are we just throwing it in the pan cold? We're not turning the pan on yet, right?
Yeah, we could turn it on, but no, let's just wait. You'll put about half in the pot. I think you guys can see, yeah, you can see my pot. And then a quarter in one jar and a quarter in the other jar. Again, it doesn't have to. All right, so, and water, our bodies, I think most people know our bodies have a lot of water in it. So our body's 60% made of water. And if we're even 1 or 2% dehydrated, which is a very small percentage, right? 1 or 2%. They did scientific research that showed if you're dehydrated even 1 or 2%, your cognitive brain function goes down.
Wow.
Yeah. So get hydrated, everybody. Okay, great. So now we'll add the water. So the recipe calls for 4 servings, and we're putting 2 in the pot and then 1 in each jar. So the recipe has 6 cups of water. We are not using all 6 cups because we're not cooking these 2 servings right now. Okay, so we'll put about 3 cups of water in the pot, and again, it does not have to be perfectly exact. So because it's soup, so the water, if you have a little more water than less is fine. And then if you're get distracted and it boils down a little, you don't have to worry. So I'm going to turn that on. We're going to turn it on high to get it boiling, and then we'll turn it down to a low simmer, low boil. All right, so we've got our jars. All right, so while that's heating up, we will start working on, you bought some shiitakes, you said?
Yes.
Shiitakes, which are great. I did not buy that. So you'll want to slice those up, and it depends how much you want them cooked. You could throw them in now, or you could throw them in more towards the end. That's up to you and your family. So the other component is you want to have an onion, some kind of root vegetable, so carrot, parsnip, could be radishes, and then you want to have some kind of leafy green. I'm gonna use kale and Swiss chard because that's what I had in my house. And Jessica, what did you say you're using? Because you said you're gonna use a different leafy green.
I have kale and bok choy.
Okay. So, and you can decide, you can mix it up and put some kale and bok choy in the pot and in the jars, or if you want to just have bok choy, you know, in one area and the other, that's up to you. So for the bok choy, I would cut it some way that it's bite-sized pieces since it's a soup, okay? So, because you won't want to be cutting your soup, so for cutting the kale, or most greens that are big leafy, this is sort of my quick. Now, I'm not going to remove the stems. A lot of people remove stems. I leave them in and use almost the whole thing. Towards the end, I often don't use that if it might be too tough. But again, it's very fibrous and it's got additional nutrition, and why waste your money? And then I usually just cut it, I sort of chiffonade basically. It cooks faster. Chiffonade means it's long, skinny strips for people who don't know. And you can see I sort of just rolled the kale sort of together, holding it tight. And especially when you get down to heavy stem part, you're going to want to cut that in really thin pieces so that it cooks faster and easier to chew. So, like I'm holding, if I can get a few. Here's a few. Like you can see they're really tiny little pieces. So, okay, so mine pot's boiling. I don't know
Mine
about.
too.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it down to like a low boil. And you can just put your greens in now. They'll be more cooked, which the nutrition goes into the broth, or we can wait. So I'm kind of feeling like, well, I have the jars. So I'm going to top off the jars with greens. And so I just load it in because this is the last ingredients that goes in the jar. So I'm just going to load it in as much as I can. And then we just put a lid on it. And, you know, I'll do the other jar and you'll do the other jar. And we'll just stick them in the fridge.
Awesome. Okay.
So, and then let's pretend it's tomorrow and we want to have miso soup again. You cannot, having miso soup once a day is perfectly fine for your health. It's actually fabulous for your health because the miso and all the vegetables and the seaweed, which we'll talk about the seaweed later, will be giving you a lot of nutrition. Seaweed, especially for vegans, is very important because there's a lot of minerals in there that are not necessarily in other foods that vegans don't. Vegans are some minerals that vegans aren't getting that are meat eaters. So let's pretend it's the next day and I'm into easy. So I literally just dump the whole jar in to my pot, the 1 serving pot. And you can see like, it's full. And then I put in my, 1.5 cups of water. I'm not going to cook this now, so I don't really want to put the water in and waste it. I put my 1.5 cups of water and bring it to boil, bring it down, and let it cook for about 10-15 minutes. And then we'll add in the miso and the seaweed at the end. So when our pot's ready, we'll do that. Sounds like it. Okay, and whoops, I just opened my pot so the steam went. And I made ahead, and I don't know if you did this or not, but I made ahead quinoa, a cooked grain. And so you can use any cooked grain. You could use rice, quinoa, millet, barley, wild rice. Like you could use any cooked grain that you want. If you're not eating grain, you could leave the grain out. So while we're waiting, why don't I talk about miso a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, So miso is traditionally made from soybeans, but you can get it without soybeans for people who are soy-free. And it is fermented. So a lot of people have heard of kombucha, which is fermented, or you can get fermented pickles. Fermentation creates positive probiotic bacteria, the good stuff, the good bacteria that feeds our gut, and our gut likes it for most people. Okay, there's always an exception for certain people. Certain things don't work, but most people, miso works great as a gut health builder. So at this point, I would say we would throw, if your grain, you could put in some of your grain, like what you would consider 2 servings worth. So about a half a cup. And then I just throw my greens on top. You might and then turn it back up. I'll boil for a couple minutes. You cannot, if you boil miso, you're gonna kill the probiotics in it. Okay, so we add it at the very end, and we don't even boil it at all. So, and what we're gonna do is, in a bowl, we're gonna plate it. I'm just gonna plate 1 bowl, but there's enough here for at least 2 servings. It might even be pushing up to 3 servings, depending on how much you want, right? So, or how hungry you are. So we're gonna take a little, I turned it off so it's not cooking anymore, and put a little in the bowl. Or you could put a lot in it. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the easy, lazy way of doing it, because that's what I'm all about, simple and easy. Just put in your bowl what you would like to eat, broth and veggie-wise, out of your. So miso does use salts, like you said earlier. It's fermented, some type of beans, usually traditionally soybean. Like I said, this one's chickpeas, and there's no soybean in it, so it's fermented chickpeas. And they use salt as part of fermentation process, just like if you buy traditional pickles, they use sea salt to ferment it. So it's high salt. So people who use less salt will want to go lighter, and people who like more salt will want to go heavier. So as you make the miso soup, you'll get more used to knowing how much to put in. So if you're making a huge pot for the whole family, I would make it lighter and bring the miso jar to the table, and people who like it saltier can add a little more into their personal bowl. We're just doing a personal bowl right now, so you can adjust it to the way you want. So I would take about 1/4 teaspoon of whichever miso you'd like. Well, I'd give the miso, you probably have 1 flavor. And put it into your bowl against the side and just sort of mix it in. You want to push it against the side so that the paste is spreading out and mixing in. And then mix it around the whole bowl. And then you have to taste the broth to see if it, but we're also going to add in seaweed, and that's salty too. And the seaweed could be optional. If you don't like seaweed, you could leave it out. But like I said earlier, seaweed is great for everybody. It has a ton of different nutrients and minerals that come from the ocean, and it has particularly great minerals that vegans could use a boost with that other meat eaters would get from some of the things they eat that vegans don't eat. We're using nori. There's all different kinds of seaweed out there, and traditionally wakame is used in miso soup, but nori's easy. Yeah, Jessica's showing wakame. Nori's easy. It's user friendly. You can eat it right out of the package. So you could make yourself a bowl of like a what do they call them? Like a Buddha bowl. Is that what? Yeah, Buddha bowl. Or, you could have a half a piece of seaweed or a full piece of seaweed, or even a quarter piece of seaweed with that, and give yourself some of the nutrients. So if you're somebody who's watching your salt, I would use a quarter of a piece of of seaweed. And you just up into small piece. Okay. So I tasted mine, and to me, I could taste the miso. It doesn't taste too salty. It tastes delicious to me. So you want it to taste delicious, but not too salty. And so I would recommend anybody who would like to adventure into the world of miso soup, so that first of all, like, it's a whole bowl here, right, of loaded with vegetables. We've got the fermentation to give you gut health, probiotics, and helping your gut health. And you've got a whole grain, which gives you steady, consistent energy, because grains are slow conversion to energy in our body. So it helps us with our blood sugar staying stable. And we have the minerals from the seaweed and water to hydrate us. So it's a really fabulous one-pot meal here. And look at the recipe that Jessica is going to share with you, the link to that, because it will give you more examples of other combinations of vegetables you could use in miso soup.
Absolutely. Well, this has been so much fun cooking, but we're going to take a break. We're going to talk to my guest, Trista Polo, and then we're going to be back to enjoy our soup and have some conversation. All right, we'll be back in just a minute for more of The Breakthrough Show.
Hey, Jessica Dugas here, creator, producer, and host of The Breakthrough Show. We have big goals here at the show in the desire to change the world one Breakthrough Show episode at a time. And honestly, we couldn't do it without you. We want to take this moment to give a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters for helping us to not only expand the show, but spread its message far and wide. If you're not a supporter yet, we would love to have you. You can choose any tier with tons of benefits at patreon.com/The Breakthrough Show. We can't wait to have you part of our Breakthrough Show family. And now back to the show.
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. My special guest today is an entrepreneur. She has 13 years of experience working with entrepreneurs, helping them to grow their brands and businesses. She's super multi-passionate like me, which is why I think that we connected on a soul level here. She's a speaker, she's a trainer, she's a podcast host of a show called Plate Story, which I'm really excited to talk to her about. Everybody, please welcome my special guest today, Trista Polo. Welcome.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here. I love that we connected immediately because you're from up north. I'm from up north. We have the multi-passionate thing going on. It's a good fit. So I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yes, me too.
So tell us, starting out, Trista, what brings you joy in your life?
I would have to say that it's the little things lately that are bringing me joy. I have such a busy schedule. I'm not complaining about it. I am from a very long line of workaholics. You know, we work hard. We love to produce and be productive and achieve. I get it from both sides of my family. But the moments, like playing a game with my husband, for Valentine's Day this year, I actually got him some games we could play together. You know, two-person games, perfect for just a night together, because we both work really hard and we both have very full schedules. So scheduling that downtime and taking time to make a meal, just the little things, I'm really finding gratitude in those.
I love that. I love that too, because I have gotten a lot of flack. My husband and I play a lot of games together. He used to be in the video game industry, and so he loves the video games and stuff. And so we'll get on and we'll play together, you know, when he gets home at night, and we'll play different things. And people are like, "You play video games?" And I'm like, "Listen, that's our time together. It's fun. It lets you listen. I play a game called Overcooked. You get to throw food at people. How is that not fun?"
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get that. And I love that so much, that that's something that brings you joy as well. Just having that downtime. And of course, the little things. the little things is what we remember when the whole world is crazy. It's the little things that we appreciate, right?
Yeah, I think you can find moments of gratitude no matter what's going on, how much stress or challenge you're having. I think those little moments of, but what's good right now? I think those are so important.
I agree. I agree. So you've had quite the journey of going from not feeling really good about yourself to really learning to love yourself and how to love yourself. So take us back to what things were like for you when you didn't have that love for yourself. What was your life like then?
It was an imposter's life. What's really funny about it, I've thought a lot about the kind of before and after I found love inside for myself. And if you knew me then and you knew me now, you would say I hadn't changed. I, on the outside, appear very similar, except of course my hair is always different. The thing is though, before it wasn't real. It wasn't an authentic expression of myself. I would still show up as a leader. I would still lead groups. I would be in front of the room speaking, etc. But it didn't land inside me. And what I would say is I'm an amazing actor. I was able to put on a really good show. I moved, I think I've kind of forgotten the number now because I'm not attached to it anymore. But when I was a kid, we moved a lot. And I moved like 24 times in the first 18 years of my life, just uprooted time after time. The longest I ever lived anywhere was 2 years, and the shortest was 2 weeks. We moved a lot. And so I learned how to be a chameleon for a survival mode. I could be in any room and have the people around me feel comfortable with me being there. As I got older, I started to own myself a little more. And that started to happen when I turned 40. I said, if you don't like me, too bad. It took me 40 years to feel that way. Yeah. Like I lost 40 years of feeling comfortable in my own skin, you know? So that's how it was before. And it was a lonely life because I always worried that if you really knew who I was, if you really saw the real me, you would be gone so fast. Yeah. So I had to prove to you that I deserved your love in pretty much every interaction. It made me more suspicious of my husband. I was always waiting for him to cheat on me. Right. And he's not like that. That was on me, not him. You know, I was always waiting for business partners to say, I can't work with you anymore. Friends to say, you know, I don't have time for you anymore. I was always waiting to be left. And that's a pretty lonely existence because you can never really trust what someone else feels about you because because I would think it was probably just because they thought they knew me. Right.
I know that you talked about wearing a mask and putting on a really good show. I have said that so often, and from my own upbringing, that I was a really good actress. You would have never known that stuff was going on, you know, inside me or behind the scenes at home or anything like that. Do you think you knew then that you were acting, or was it or were you doing what you needed to do to survive, and then upon reflection you saw I was just really good at putting on masks? How did that look like later on?
I always knew that I was doing my best to fake it till I make it. My mom used to say that to me when I was a kid. Put on a smile. I don't feel like smiling. Well, fake it till you make it. And that's sort of how I lived my whole life. Fake it till you make it. And so I did always kind of know that that's what I was doing. Yeah. When people would choose me to lead a group, I remember I was part of an organization called the Junior League. So they're all over the country. You might be familiar with them. It's an organization of women volunteers. And I joined the group in my area. And first I was surprised they accepted me because I wasn't the traditional, typical stereotype of what they put out in the movies about what the Junior League is about. Right. And then I was part of the provisional class, which is the first year that you're a member, and you have to do a project together. And the next thing I knew, I was the leader. They'd all sort of just allowed me and risen me up to be a leader. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll lead because they asked me to. I don't think I should. I don't think I deserve to, but I'll do it if you want me to. And then the next thing I know, a few years in, I was the president. And I always felt like the outcast who didn't really belong. I called myself the black sheep of the junior league. And yet they kept putting me in these leadership positions.
Yeah.
And so I just figured it was because I was really good at faking my way into being a leader. But deep down inside, I was scared to death that I was going to mess up myself, the organization, the project, whatever, because I didn't think I actually deserved to be there.
Right. Just that in itself is such a good message for people, because it's so easy for us to see confident people or see people higher up on the pedestal, a president, a politician, an actress, a singer, somebody that's well known, and we think they've got it all together. Their lives must be amazing. And what you're saying is that, look, you can be in those positions and you can seem like everything's great on the outside, but there could be serious stuff going on the inside. So when did things start to change for you? What was sort of your moment of, okay, like I've got too many masks going on here?
Well, can I add something to what you just said?
Absolutely.
Because it just occurred to me, and I want to put this in for the other side of the coin. If you see yourself being treated like someone who deserves to lead, who deserves to be at the front of the room, who deserves success, and who deserves having cool people to hang out with, maybe take a little closer look, because they can't all be wrong.
Yeah. I love that.
Right? Like, take some outside proof of the good stuff instead of always looking for the proof of the bad. And I just really wanted to put that in after what you said, because I saw that really clearly just then.
Yeah, that's juicy, and that's good, because I think we're so hard on ourselves sometimes, and we think I'm not like you said, I'm not leadership material. They must have done this on accident. Did you see somebody? I think she raised her hand back there. Kind of thing.
You're not talking to me.
Who? Yeah. So I love that you said that, because I think that's so, like, if we have all these people saying, hey, you would be amazing at this, why are we not listening to that?
Yeah.
So now tell us about when things started to change for you.
Yes. So I've always looked to achieve betterment in myself. I knew that, well, originally it was because I knew I was broken. And so I was trying to fix it. And so for over 20 years, I have been seeking out enlightenment, transformation, breakthroughs. And I took a course most recently, although I've taken a ton of them, where I got really clear about how communication in my life works and how I talk to myself. And one of the things that I took away it was an app that was recommended to me called Think Up. So Think Up is a very cool app because you can record your own voice saying things to remind yourself that good stuff is true. So you could call it mantras or affirmations or just statements, whatever word you're comfortable with. Our brain believes everything we tell it. That's the only place it gets its information, is what we tell it. And so if we tell something, if we tell our brain that something is true, like, I'm a millionaire. Yes, okay, the evidence is not here right now. But if you say it enough to the point where you actually start to convince your brain that it's true, your brain will start to conspire to make it true, because it only has what you tell it to believe.
Right.
So having this app where you can speak to yourself and remind yourself of the good stuff, that was where it really started to shift for me. So I would play this app constantly. And then I was gifted a statement that I have used with such success that I now gift it out whenever I have the opportunity to. So it's an affirmation, and it goes like this. I believe I deserve all the best life has to offer, and I was created with the ability to achieve it. Now, the first time I got this, we'll call it an affirmation, I couldn't even remember the words. I'm like, wait. Well, let me write it down. What was that?
That's one of the longer ones.
Well, and I was also resistant to it. Because if you break it down, that is about self-worth, self-love, and deserving success. I can tell myself that I'm going to be a millionaire or that I am a millionaire, 1,000 times. But if deep down I have an issue with money and I know I'm always going to be broke and I don't actually believe it, and I don't believe I deserve to be a millionaire, if I do actually end up winning the lottery or having somebody leave me a ton of money, I'll probably not keep it very long because I don't actually believe I deserve to have it. Mm-hmm. So the goal setting and the action plans and the vision boards and all that stuff is really key, but it all stems from your worth for yourself. Because if you don't have self-worth and self-love that you actually deserve to receive the riches and the goodness of life, it will be a lot of work to attain it and very hard to hold on to. Mm. What I've noticed, I first started using that affirmation as sort of like a tincture, like a salve on my negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. I would start to get down on myself and judge myself or be mad at someone else or take something really personally. And I'd say, no, I believe I deserve all the best life has to offer. And I was created with the ability to achieve it. My success is in my hands. And I have the ability to have whatever I want. So then I started using it as kind of like this mantra. I would just say it over and over again when I was feeling really down. And then I started to say it and my whole body would start to respond positively. Like my cells would almost react and my face would brighten and my eyes would brighten and be like, yeah, I do deserve all the best life has to offer. And I was created with the ability to achieve it. Now it's part of my belief system of myself. And yes, I am still a work in progress, but things happen more magically, more synchronistically. I am having the most wonderful life. My marriage is better. And I promise you, my husband will tell you there was nothing wrong with him to begin with. So he has not changed. Promise you he will say that. But I have changed because I am now approaching my life with myself, with full acceptance and love of who I am, just as I am. That's why my company name is I Woke Up Awesome, because I am awesome exactly how I woke up and not a minuscule difference. Yeah. I'm perfect just as I am. Just like when I woke up, maybe I forgot to take my makeup off and my hair is tousled and whatever, but I'm still awesome. Yeah. And so are you. And so as I started to own my awesome, my husband got more awesome. That's weird. My friends got more awesome, my business partners, my business. And I realized I actually have something to offer of value instead of worrying that people should probably work with somebody else if they want to succeed. It's a completely different mindset. And so now I get to be on podcasts and summits and speak on a topic that I know will help people and make a difference because it made such a difference for me and continues to.
Yeah. I love that you shared that it wasn't something that, like you said, the affirmation and you were cured and better. And that was it turned into something like that. And I also love that you added on there that you're a work in progress as well, because I think a lot of the misconceptions with things like affirmations and mantras and things of the like are that number one, people are like, well, I said that one time and nothing happened.
Yeah.
And like, what was that you said? One time you said that. And then the other part of thinking that, that once that a breakthrough or a change in their life is something that is a final destination. Like they'll reach it and they'll never have to work for it again. And that's something that we've talked about on this show so often is that, you may get to a space like what you said of things are happening more magically. Things are falling into place, but it doesn't mean you don't have to wake up and work at it. So what do you do to work at things when something comes up for you now?
Well, the very first thing I want to say is I have a community of people that demand and expect me to be the greatness version of myself. I hate being demanded of, by the way. If I see something on my Facebook feed and it says, go out and go out there and be nice. I'm like, don't tell me what to do, even though it's really good advice. I really hate being demanded of, but I have people in my life that pull the greatness of me toward them. They expect it of me. And because of that, I'll say your environment is really key. So my environment is very powerful as a accountability partner in what I'm up to. And so that's the one thing. The other thing, so I get in communication as soon as I find, well, I'm not going to say as soon as, because sometimes it takes me a little while. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be upset, sad, stressed out, anxious, etc. The question is, how long are you going to stay there before you transform it and have a breakthrough in it, which is an ongoing process.
Right.
Like you said, you are never going to arrive at a place where life is perfect. There's never a problem.
Yeah, you're just done.
You're done. Well, there is a time when you'll reach that. But that's not what we're looking for, right? Yeah. We want to be able to enjoy life. And I think part of enjoying life is knowing it won't always be perfect.
Right.
I do a lot of work to transform myself. I've had a lot of breakthroughs, but none of them are needed when my life's going well. It's when life's going more difficult ways. It's when the challenges come up, when the roadblocks happen. That's when all this work I do on myself, all that self-transformation work needs to kick in, because that's when we need it the most. Who cares if I'm transformed if my life's going great?
Yeah,
I don't really need it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, you think about it, there's so many people who say, you know, I wouldn't choose these things to happen, to these bad things to happen in my life. And maybe not, but it's like, if your life was exactly the same all the time and nothing ever happened and there was no growth and there was no, I mean, it just doesn't seem to me that it would be, that doesn't even sound like life.
We need dissonance. We need the contrast. In order to appreciate the good, we have to understand what the bad looks like. Otherwise, the good is just average. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so grateful for all of the amazing wisdom that you've shared with us today. I'm going to, when I go back, you guys have seen, you'll see it as you're watching this, that if you're on the video version of the show, I'll have like the nice affirmation on the screen and everything else. So you guys can have that in front of you and enjoy it and take notes, write it down because it's good stuff. Thank you so much for being here with me today, Trista. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with today?
Well, I have just had such a wonderful time today. I could do this with you for a while. Feels like we haven't even been together that long, but I've really enjoyed it. I think what I'll leave you with is, you know, this affirmation, get the Think Up app, put that on there along with anything else that you want to tell yourself, that you want yourself to be reminded of, and just play it all the time. And when you check in with that affirmation, see how you're doing with it. And the way I recommend doing that is just say it, even if you have to read it, just say it to yourself and then take a moment and see how it lands. And you'll be able to tell if your body accepts it as truth or not. Because maybe you'll start to argue, well, that's not true because I didn't. Maybe your body will be like, oh, that's so comfortable. I love that. But whatever the reaction, you'll kind of know where you are in your journey and know how much you've gotten it into your soul. And I just acknowledge everyone who's willing to take that on and start to love yourself and believe that you deserve all the best life has to offer because you do.
I love it. Trista, thank you so much. I just appreciate the conversation and all that you've shared today. So I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks so much.
All right, guys, make sure you check out the links in our show notes so that you can connect with Trista, and also make sure you go listen to her podcast about plate stories. And we'll be back in just a minute with more of The Breakthrough Show.
Did you know that the Breakthrough Show Facebook page is home to more than just the Breakthrough Show? We've got monthly shows we like to call Breakthrough Extras with more inspiring content to facilitate your next big breakthrough. Join Shiraz of Energetic Magic every fourth Monday of the month for Rewriting Reality. During this live show, you'll be able to call into the provided phone number, click the link to video chat, or use the comment section to review your beliefs, revise your stories, and rewrite your reality. You'll be able to watch him help you and others go to your core beliefs and destroy them just like magic. Find out more information at thebreakthroughshow.com or tune in live this coming Monday at 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern at facebook.com/breakthrough show. And now, back to The Breakthrough Show.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Breakthrough Show. I want to give a huge thank you to our special guest today, Trista Polo. Trista was amazing. We are back now with my friend Paula Yolles. We were in the kitchen starting out this episode, making our soup. Now we have our delicious soup bowls here, which you saw the picture of coming up on the screen. They are warm and yummy, so don't mind me if I sit here and eat while we chat. I wanted to get into how you got into this line of work, and also I'm really interested in this idea of mind-body-food connection, and so maybe you can share a little bit about that as well.
Well, thank you, Jessica, and go ahead and enjoy your soup there. So I just want to start by saying, because we just did the cooking, and food is the fuel of the body and thoughts are the fuel of our mind. And so when they're both thriving, then our full body health is thriving. And my story really started, and the way my business started, with my own story of my own health. I was chronically constipated most of my childhood and into my 20s, and I didn't know, because that was just the way I was living. And I had digestive problems. I had really bad menstrual cramps, like, I was in bed for a couple of days each time, and I was low energy, dragging one foot from the other, and emotionally really low also. So I was just not in a great place. And I went back to my counselor, my therapist, who I'd seen in the past, and she was studying this doing this healers program, and she said, I need some people to try it out on. Would you be willing to be a test client? And I said, sure. And I went, and instantly I was like, I want more of this information. I want to learn it for myself. And it was a 2-year program. I just signed up and jumped in. And as I slowly made changes with my food, at the same time, I was diving in deep in this healers program to release my emotional roadblocks that I had attached to food, but also things from my childhood. I had been eating my emotions a lot through my childhood.
How many of us can relate to that? Like, just, we don't realize, I don't think, how many things that happen as we're children can tie into so much of our behaviors as adults, right?
Yes, and some of it's happy food experiences, and some of it's not. So when I would go visit my grandma, my Nana, she would always make me special foods. And so those are happy associations with food. And then when I was stressed about having to take a test, in high school, or had a fight with somebody in my family, even when I was growing up, I would often find myself eating food as a way to what I thought was soothing myself, but really it wasn't long-term soothing myself. And so, and that, like you said, lots of people can relate to that. And so over this course of the 2 years, I was slowly changing my foods to a way that is individualized for my specific body. And that's part of what I learned in the Healers program, is helping. I was doing it for myself, but then now I'm helping other women in the world with what's individually works for your individual body to support it, so that you can have the best full body health, and then also releasing the emotional blocks at the same time. And I was just trying to feel better. And in the process of it, I lost 25 pounds. I wasn't going into it trying to lose the weight. I was just there to try to feel better emotionally and physically. And I lost the constipation. I don't have that. And my energy boosted. And so people just who knew me and casually, and people who are close friends and family were like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
And they were expecting me to say, oh, well, I'm doing this diet or I'm doing that diet. And that wasn't my response. My response was, I'm shifting my foods and peeling away my emotional roadblocks at the same time. And those two things combined just full forward changed this transformation. And people started asking me like, whoa, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I just realized, I was like, I want to share my knowledge with other women so that they don't have to be stuck like I was stuck. And that's my journey of how I got to creating my body, mind, food, wellness coaching.
I love that, because so many women, you know, and men too, but for the majority, women that have come on the show that have talked about the struggles that they've had in their lives, and then using that to help other people transform their lives, which I think is amazing, because it's one thing for us to learn it. That's great. And some people, that's their journey. They're meant to, you know, change their own lives, their own well-being. But then when we can take that and we can, and not just always teaching it, but even just our lifestyle inspiring other people to make those same changes. And it's just a beautiful thing to see, to use that, or instead of sitting and saying, oh, things are so bad and I just give up, you know, really using it to fuel you and help other people. I love it.
Thanks, Jessica. So one of my clients, Chrissy, who I worked with, she has a large family like you do. And she had been in this cycle for years of trying various diets, and she'd lose some weight and then she'd gain it back. And she had bloating and gassing, and she just didn't feel comfortable in her body. You know, she just didn't feel comfortable in it. And so the way she found me is we were actually both at a business conference together, and we had just like said, yeah, we'll be roommates, even though we didn't know each other, and I had a little kitchenette, and she would see that I wasn't eating the food at the hotel for breakfast. I was making myself breakfast in the little kitchenette, and she just was like, I want to be doing that. I want it to just be part of my life, like it's part of your life. And so we ended up working together for about 6 months, and she has 6 kids and her husband also. And so she said, I'm going to do this for me. And if anybody else in the family wants to try the other food, they can. So, but they don't have to. So her husband got on board really fast and was enjoying the food, and some of her kids started enjoying it and some of them didn't. And we also worked together. I did some cooking classes with her, but we also did a lot of the emotional breakthrough releasing and observations for herself, and really checking into her inner mind chatter that she has. Like we all have inner voices.
Yes.
In our heads, right? And so I'm helping her connect into them and listen to them, and then use tools to honor them and release them, so that then she could come from a place of empowerment around her food and not a place of depriving herself. Because a lot of people, when they're trying to make health changes, come from a place of, I have to remove this food, I have to remove that food, I have to be exercising X amount of hours a week, and just a real deprivation and force.
Right.
And I flip that around. So I want people to boost their fun. I want people to eat foods they enjoy and put things in they already enjoy, but boost the things that are healthy that they're already eating, and from there expand. And I want people to feel aligned instead of struggling. And that's really what I do in my group program and one-on-one with clients. And my secret mission, which isn't really so secret because I say it out loud, is I want it to ooze into the rest of the family. I want it to ooze into the wider family outside of the house, you know, and friends. And like you were saying, it connects to that it can just ooze out and connect to the other parts of the family, like you're.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. And I've noticed with us when, you know, since we became plant-based, there's so many people that I connected with that are like, listen, I'm not going to do that, but you've reminded me that, oh, there's these really cool vegetables out there, or fruits, or things that even they're just expand their mind a little bit. And I love that. You know, Shoshana and Adam Chaim from Plant Trainers have been on this show before as well. And all of you guys really come from a place of, you don't have to eat exactly like me, but let's figure out how we can better what you're doing already. And I love that so much. And actually had did a little, before we did this recording today, I did a little video on my Facebook page, on my personal page, and I was talking about there's a lesson, another lesson that's coming from this show today. And that's that I know that Paula and I don't eat the exact same kind of diet. We eat things that are a little bit differently, but it's so nice that we've been able to sit down and find a recipe that suits both of us, and to find that commonality and still work together. And isn't that a beautiful message for this year with everything else that's going on, to find those ways to connect with people instead of going, well, she doesn't eat like me, so we can't do this, you know, but finding something to connect over. And I just love that. And what's more beautiful to connect over than a delicious soup or a nice meal?
I agree, Jessica. And even in my own household, like my son doesn't eat the same exactly as I do, and my partner and doesn't eat the same as me either. Like, you know, but we eat the base the same, so we can have the grain and the vegetable dish, and then sometimes we all have the same protein and sometimes we have a different protein. So again, even in your own household, it could all be aligned, or it could be different and work in a beautiful connecting way. So.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Paula, thank you so much for being here with us today. Is there anything that you'd like to share with everybody about where they can find you or what you have going on?
So the best place to find me is on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group that's called Hello to Health Sisterhood. Hello to Health Sisterhood on Facebook. So join me there, because there's already tons of recipes in there. There's stuff on releasing your emotional roadblocks in there. I do Facebook Lives in there. I do Ask Me Anything in there. And then also in the month of October 2020, I'm going to be doing workshops for free workshops that I'd love for anybody to attend. Ways to eat healthier without changing your food. And so, because I want people to start again where they're at, that's comfortable, and a lot of times making changes to food feels like a roadblock. So it's a 45-minute short workshop. It's interactive, and I would love to have you join me there on the workshops.
Great. That'll be awesome. And I love that idea of just, I mean, I know some people are probably listening to this and going, what do you mean I'm going to eat different, but I don't have to change what I'm eating? There's so many little tricks that I know Paula is going to be able to share with you. And I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing in the world, and for being open-minded and willing to connect, and for teaching us. So I learned some new things today, and you learned some new things today, and it was a fun time. It was really enjoyable. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Jessica.
All right, guys. Well, I want to give a huge thank you to our special guests today, Paula Yolles and also Trista Polo. You ladies were amazing. Really appreciate you being here. And for all of you guys that made the soup with us, either with the show or after the show today, be sure to send us a picture at jessica@thebreakthroughshow.com, and we'll share it on our social media, which will be super fun. And also, if you happen to be on the podcast version of this episode, go find the video version. Go to thebreakthroughshow.com or to facebook.com/breakthroughshow and get the video version, so you can look at all the beautiful colors of the ingredients and the recipes as well. Up next week on the Breakthrough Show, we're going to welcome an entrepreneur friend of mine, Dan Paulson from the Midwest. You're going to hear about his amazing breakthrough stories about how he came into business for himself and the journey that he's taken, so you don't want to miss that. Until next week, guys, please take a moment to rate, subscribe, comment, and share where available, and make today a great day for a breakthrough. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Breakthrough. Please visit our website at www.thebreakthroughshow.com. And be sure to join our After the Breakthrough community powered by Patreon. We look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place for another inspiring episode.